Hello, it's Carrie Bradford, and I am here to show you how to use my Open Windows templates that you can find on my blog, which is carriebradford.blogspot.com. As you can see here, I've opened up one of the windows. This one is actually a fixed template, and that's the one that we're going to work with first. I find that the fixed template is just easy for those who just want to just get it done, don't want to mess with changing around the windows or, messing with, 5,000 different shadows, whatever. You can get a quick look to get a card done or whatever you want to do with it with a fixed template. I've also, if you notice up here along my tabs, I have the windows or the photos that I'm going to use, as well as a pattern paper that I'm going to show you how you can use with it. Over on the left, I have my layers palette right here. And down here, you'll notice in the layers palette, it says photo 1, 2, and 3. And I noticed when I pulled this up that I didn't get the names of those couple of those layers changed. So you might want to just change them to say photo 1, 2, and 3. If it might say layer 1 and 2 or something. Anyway, if you notice, I click on it and I've got photo 1, photo 2, and photo 3. If I turn them off, you'll see that there's a transparent background back there. That's because my window has these little pieces of the squares cut out. Yet each one of these 1, 2, and 3 squares are just kind of like the storyboard templates that you've been using of mine all along, where these are what we're going to clip our photos to. So, also, one of the neat little features of this template is that there are a variety of lines that you can, are just already put on the template that you can just use as you see fit. You can use them or not use them, whatever. Look over here in my layers palette, you'll see inside scribble, inside straight, inside dash, and then outside straight, outside scribble, and outside dash. And right now, you can see I have the little eye turned on, and that means that I am showing you the outside straight. If I click on the eye, it turns it off, and say I want now an inside scribble. And you can see now that is turned on, which is kind of nifty. So you can just kind of play around with it, and of course you don't want to choose them all, but you can see how they work. You can either just choose one or choose, maybe I want both scribbles, and it just turns them on and off, which is really just kind of a fun little feature. Again, it's all about the ease of use if you just want to add a quick little line to your template without having to worry about going and drawing it yourself. It's, I'm all about convenience. So what we're going to do now, let's turn back on our outside straight line. What we're going to do now is start with our first photo, and I am going to use a picture here of my daughter, cute little girl, look at those big brown eyes. And I'm going to click on the photo and drag it up to the tab where it says window 4x6 fixed, and then I'm going to release my mouse, and there she is. Speaking of the big brown eye, there she is. So I want to resize this, and I'm going to have to zoom out, and I'm going to click on the handle and drag it down and just kind of pull it here and kind of get it to about the size that I want. Let's maybe go here. And in Photoshop, you double click on that, and then it took a second to transform. In Photoshop Elements, you just click OK. And as you can see, I have her photo and the photo 1, they're just already right above each other. And I'm going to clip this photo to the number 1 square by pressing my Alt key, and you can see I get that little bumblebee, as I like to call it, and it's between those two lines, and I'm going to click, and now you can see those two have been clipped together. So now as we're working with it, we're not going to have this picture, when we go to get our next picture, it's not going to overlap underneath that window and clip into the face of the other person, etc. So now I'm going to get another photo. This is of my other daughter, and click and drag it up to the tab and drop it in. And see, just like I had said, you don't want it to be doing this. And so by having these as a separate little item, you know, a little square that you can clip it to, we're going to avoid this overlap. So now I'm going to just kind of drag her into where I want it. Well, let's make her face bigger. Kind of make it a little more comparable. And there we go. And now over in our layers palette, you see I have my layer 2 of my daughter just above the photo 2 square. I'm going to press the Alt key, get my bumblebee, and click my mouse, and it clips the two together. And now you can see I have, you know, 2 of my photos. Now let's get my son, funny little guy, and I'm going to click and drag it up to the fixed window and put it down and slide it over a little bit. And he happens to be above the window. So in my layers palette, you can see it says the layer 3, that's the photo of him, and it happens to be on top of my window. I want to move it down so that it's just above photo 3. And now we're going to clip those 2 together. I press my Alt key, get the bumblebee, and click. And now those 2 are clipped together. So now you can see just how easy that is just to kind of put it all together. Well, now I would like to, you know, add a little dimension and make it actually look like a window. So I'm going to click on my window, and you can see over my layers palette that the window is actually selected. I'm going to come down to the little FX button, go to Drop Shadow, and now you can see it just kind of defaults at something, but you can see, particularly on this one picture of Jordan, that there is a shadow there. And if you want to increase that shadow, you can increase the distance and the size, and it will make it a little bigger and a little bit blurrier, so it kind of gives it more dimension. And I kind of like how that is, so I'm just going to say, well, I'm going to say okay, but also just to show you, it says the blend mode says multiply. My opacity is set to 40%. If I were to move it up, look at how dark it gets, and I don't quite like that. So I kind of like a softer, you know, 35, 40, whatever. And then you can, again, change the distance and the size. You can also change your angle, and I usually uncheck the global light and choose your angle, and you can see now that the shadow is down in this corner just by moving this little thing around. Alrighty, so I kind of like where that is, and I'm just going to click OK. And now you can see it looks more dimensional, like a window. So now I've got my photos there. All the fixed templates have a green background. All the movable templates have a blue background. Just for, you know, clarification on what you're looking at when you see them, you'll know that if you've got blue, it's movable. If you've got green, it's a fixed template. So right now we're with the green, and you know, green's a pretty color. I like the green, but you know, maybe you want to make it classy and you want to do black. So if you click on your little color swatch over here and you're going to choose black, say okay, and then you're going to choose your paint bucket tool, and you can just fill it in. And ooh, that looks really sharp. You could also do the same for your line as well. And I just want to make sure that, you know, you've clicked on the window. When you go to fill it in, you've got to make sure that your window is selected, and you click on it to when you fill it in. So now maybe we want to change our outside straight line to a different color. So I've clicked on it. You can see I've clicked on it here in the layers palette, and I'm going to click on the little swatch. Well, let's go up here to these swatches and say I want red. Then I can just kind of come in, and you just got to make sure you're on the line, and there you go. And it just fills in the line, which is really kind of cool. So I'm going to kind of close that, and I don't really want it red. I want to keep it white. So I'm just going to go back in my history here, or press Control Z, and that will undo your last step. And in fact, let's even go back one step more, just I want to go back to the green just so that you can see this a little bit better. Back to the drop shadow. You can do the same thing with your straight line here. So I've clicked on my outside straight line. I'm going to go to my FX button again and go to drop shadow. And you can see now, right up here, it's put in a drop shadow. And you can maybe decrease the opacity a little bit. Maybe you want to change the direction a little bit, whatever you want to do. Again, I don't like to use the global lighting. The global lighting, what it does is it makes the lighting applicable for everything going the same direction. And I don't know, sometimes I find it's bothersome, sometimes it's nice, whatever. So you can see now though with my FX, my drop shadow, that it just kind of punches that out just a little bit. So I'm going to click OK, and now you can see it just kind of gives that little line a little pop of shadow, kind of gives it some dimension on your window. Okay, so now that I've shown you a little bit about shadows and how you can kind of add dimension to your project, what we're going to do is add a background so that we can, you know, change this from the green or the black. You know, it's cool, it's simple, it's pretty, I like it. But let's say we want to add some sort of a background to it, kind of make it, you know, like a scrapbook page in a sense. So over here I'm in my layers palette, you can see my window is selected, and if your layers palette shows, you know, the extra FX there, just click on that little button and kind of click it up. So we're working just straight with the window. If you look across my tabs up here, I've got my background paper. I'm just going to click on that. And this is the background paper from the Love Every Little Thing kit. And I'm just going to click on it and drag it to my window and drop it in. And if you want, you know, you can resize it as you need to. If you want to. Oops, I made it a little bit too small. And double click on that to secure the transformation. And then over in my layers palette, you can see I put it just above the window. And now I'm going to do my little clipping trick. You do the Alt key, get the little bumblebee, and click both of them. And now you can see it's all clipped within that window, which this is really handy, again, if you're not wanting to mess with the individual shadows of each photo. It's simple, it's fast, you know, I love it. From here though, we can, if you wanted to add an extra title, you could just click on your your type tool, and we're going to just maybe draw a little box like this. And I have American Typewriter selected. That sounds fine to me. Maybe I'll change my point size to a 28 point and make sure my color is set to black. And we can type in "these cute kids." Oops. And we'll just leave it like that. And we're done. So that's how you use the fixed template.